In this section, we'll take a look at what backfilling is. Backfilling means reloading historical data from a specific time period. Say, for example, you have data for the past decade, from the year 2010 to year 2020, but you would like to load data from the year 2011 to 2012. We can easily do this by passing start date and end date values, and using DLTs and Orchestra's features, we can easily implement backfill dynamically. So let's take a look at how to implement this in our code. So let's start by creating a new script, and we'll name this as backfill script. And this script is very similar to incremental script, except that instead of the incremental date, we'll be passing start date and end date. So let's copy this entire script. So first, let's make some changes. Instead of incremental date, I just need start date. And similarly, and we'll be applying backfilling to resource folks. And similarly, we will send start date as an argument and end date as an argument. And let's change the parameter in run resource function. Instead of incremental date, I will be using start date. And similarly, I need end date. And I will change the incremental date here with start date. So we'll apply backfilling to only resources where we explicitly send start date and end date. So if start date is not none and end date is not none, then we get the resource we are applying backfilling by using the method or function get attribute, and we use apply hints to apply backfill. So instead of updated at, let's use created at this time. And the initial value will be start date. And the end value, and this is how we implement backfill, will be equal to the end date. And we also need to specify another parameter called row order, which needs to be the value ascending. And let's just change our pipeline name to backfill back. So basically here we implement backfilling to only resources where we explicitly pass end date and start date. If we pass in resources without these dates, the pipelines get dynamically created for each of these resources. So our code looks good, so let's save it. Now let's push our code into our GitHub repository. Now let's check if our file is in our GitHub repository. So we have our backfill script here. Now let's go to Orchestra, let's go to pipelines, and we will need to delete some of these pipelines, as the OSS features allows us to use or create only 3 pipelines at the same time. So let's delete our first pipeline. And I think we can also delete the dynamic one, because we'll be creating a pipeline later as well. So now let's create a new pipeline. We'll name this as DLT backfill. And we'll do the same steps again. So we'll name this DLT backfill script, Python backfill we'll use our DLT integration connection. And for the environment variable, similar to how we did for incremental date, we'll pass in the start date and end date. So it will be of this format. So let's paste this here. And let's load data between 1st October and 30th October. So let's change the month to 10, 1st October, and the end date would be 10/30. So now let's save this. And let's run it. All right, our pipelines ran successfully. So let's just cross-validate with the data in BigQuery. Let's look for, all right, so our data set is here. Let's query the resource folks, since we applied backfilling to that resource. And order by created at ascending first. So let's see what we get. So we have our data starting from October 1st, but let's also just order by descending to see that we shouldn't have any data beyond October 30th. All right, as you can see, the last data we have is from October 29th. So we've successfully implemented backfilling for our resource folks. In the next section, we'll take a look at how we can use Orchestra's meta engine to dynamically create tasks and run them in parallel. So see you there.